Emergent Tokyo, Designing the Spontaneous City is a book by Jorge Almazan, who is a professor at Keio University and a practicing architect in Tokyo. Emergent Tokyo is basically a book about several features that make Tokyo's urban fabric unique, and about the historical top-down and bottom-up pressures that allowed those features to exist, and what they replaced and what threatens those features in the future. A lot of books on urbanism have a lot of general scope, especially kind of introductory books into urbanism, and they jump around a lot from city to city or discuss urbanism from the viewpoint of an entire nation or society in general. Emergent Tokyo is different because it really drills down specifically on one city, Tokyo, one of the greatest and most influential cities of our modern world. The structure of the book is basically divided into sections about the unique structures of Tokyo, such as Yokocho alleys or Tokyo's particular flavors of dense, low-rise neighborhoods, and explanations of their features and what we can learn from them in a more general sense, even in the West. For example, when discussing Yokocho alleyways, Almazan will go over a few benchmark examples of Yokochos, such as the world-famous Golden Gai or Yanagi Koji, and then explain how allowing tiny footprint businesses fosters a sense of intimacy between businesses and customers, or how the lower amount of capital can kind of help locals who want to start a small business with perhaps not so much capital. It emphasizes the unplanned bottom-up factors that allowed these features to be able to come to exist, such as post-World War II black markets evolving into tiny bars and restaurants, as well as top-down planning elements that have influenced these structures, particularly as Tokyo needed to adapt to a hyper-growth post-World War II population. And you really can't talk about this book without emphasizing the graphics and illustrations. This is not really a long book. It's something that you could easily read in a weekend, although for me it took me a bit longer because I really tried to take in the beautiful diagrams and photographs illustrating the different concepts and locations being discussed. This was particularly important for me because I plan on returning to Tokyo sometime in the next year, and I want to have a keen eye for these unique features to go explore them. This book doesn't feel like a drag. There's very much an economy of words here, and the use of so many graphics really helps concretize the subject of the book for you, even if you've never been to Tokyo. So should you read Emergent Tokyo? I think if you're interested in urbanism or cities, you've already read a more general urbanism book or two. Maybe you've read Walkable City, maybe you've read Strong Towns, and you want to dive into something more specific that's like a mega case study of a more specific city. I think that you can't go wrong with this book. There's also an impressively extensive list of citations at the end of the book for anyone who wants to dive deeper into Japanese urbanism and architecture, organized by genre and time period. One note I will add on this book is that it is quite critical of corporate development in a way that might sting the ears of North American YIMBY types who are generally pro any kind of development in the face of the friction that building faces in places like North America. Although I would be more critical of this kind of critique in a US context, I would say that within the context of Tokyo and Japan, this kind of concern seems to make a lot more sense. A lot of the unique, dense, emergent features of Tokyo are under threat by massive corporate tower developments, whereas in the US, usually people are just defending single-family home sprawl-style developments that are kind of nightmares for sustainable transit systems or local economies. As you read through this, it's useful to remember that the Japanese context is very different from the American context. Overall, I think this is a great book, and I'm not an expert, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is the new definitive modern English text on Tokyo's urban forms, at least on an introductory layman's level, and I recommend it to anyone who is curious about how one of the most interesting and influential cities came to be as it is today and what we can learn from its successes even here in the West.